Hey, how's everybody doing out there today? In today's video lesson, we're going to be taking a look at factoring polynomials with one variable using the greatest common factor, otherwise known as the GCF. Now to factor the polynomial 15r squared plus 10, what we want to do is look at first, we're going to take a look at the coefficients, 15 and 10. And is there any number that goes into both of those? Well, of course, that number is 5. So we're going to factor out of 5, and then we're going to take a look at how many times does 5 go into 15? Well, that's going to go into 15 3 times, and we have our r squared still, and 5 goes into 10 twice, so that's just going to be 2. So our final answer on that one is just 5 times the quantity 3r squared plus 2. Now in example 2, we've got a couple things to take a look at here. First, we're going to take a look at the numbers, the coefficients in front of each one of our terms. We've got a 4 and we've got an 18. Now the only number that goes into both of those is, of course, 2. So if I divide 2 into each one of those terms, I'm going to have, oh wait, let me go ahead and leave a little bit of space there. 2 goes into 4 twice, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. So, and then don't forget the minus right there. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to take a look at the variables. Now notice here for the variable, I've got an r to the 7th power and an r to the 3rd power. Since I've got that same variable in both of those terms, what I want you to do is take a look at the lowest degree. So if I look at r to the 7th and r cubed, of course the smaller one is right here, it's r cubed. So what you're going to do is you're going to subtract 3 from each one of your exponents. So here when we have r to the 7th, so we're going to factor out an r to the 3rd power. Now to figure out what our degree is for r in the first term, we're going to go 7 minus 3. When we subtract that, we get 4. And then for the other term, of course, when we do 3 minus 3, that gives us 0, and if we have r to the 0 power, well, that's just 1. All right, so we don't have to write an r for this second term. So our final answer on this one, when we go ahead and factor it, we're going to have 2r cubed times the quantity 2r to the 4th minus 9. Now here for example 3, if you think you've got it, go ahead and hit pause and then come back and see if you got the answer correct. Now the number that goes into all 4 of these terms, my greatest common factor of all 4 terms, of course, is 4. So I'm going to 4, and then I'm just going to go ahead and write 4 goes into 20. 5 times, 4 goes into 12, 3 times, and then 4 goes into minus 8, minus 2 times, and 4 goes into 40, 10 times. All right, now if I look at my exponents, of course, I've got r to the 8th, r to the 4th, r cubed, and r squared. My smallest exponent is squared, r squared. So I'm going to have r squared is what's going to be factored out of each one of those. Now, r squared and r8, so what I do, remember, we subtract the exponents. So 8 minus 2 gives me 6, so I'm going to have r to the 6th power. And then 4 minus 2 is going to give me r squared. And then 3 minus 2 is going to just give me r to the 1st power, but we don't write a 1 with that, and then r squared divided by r squared, so if I have 2 minus 2, that gives me 0, and anything to the 0 power is 1. There is one exception to that, and you'll learn about that later in another math class. So our final answer on this one is 4r squared times the quantity 5r to the 6th plus 3r squared minus 2r plus 10. Now, say that you didn't get the 4 as a GCF right off the bat. So say you're kind of thinking about it and you're like, oh, I'm going to factor out a 2 because I look at 20 and 12 and -8 and 40 and I notice that they're all even. So say I just factor out a 2 instead. So now it would just give me 2 goes into 20 10 times, 2 goes into 12 6 times, 2 goes into -8 -4 times, and 2 goes into 40 20 times. So then again I look at my degrees of r, and I've got r to the 8th, r to the 4th, r cubed, and r squared. So the smallest one that is in all of them, of course, is r squared. So that's why we factor out the r squared. And then that's going to mean, again, we're going to subtract our exponents. So 8 minus 2 gives us 6, so we're going to have r to the 6th. 4 minus 2 gives us 2, so we're going to have r squared, and then 3 minus 2 gives us 1, so that's just r, but remember you don't write a 1 because we're math people and math people don't do that. And of course when you have r squared and r squared, the difference between those two is 0. And when you divide them, you just get 1. So we're just left with a 20 on the end. We don't have to write r to the 0 power. So we end up here, but what I want you to notice then is in here, you always have to analyze and make sure that you're done. And if we look, we've got a 10, a 6, a minus 4, and a 20 as our coefficients there and our constant there at the end. And all of those are even numbers also. So I want to make sure that I factor out another even number, and 10, 6, negative 4, and 20, 2 goes into that. So I'm going to have 2 on the outside, and then the rest of it is going to be pretty much the same thing. So 2 goes into 10 5 times, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into negative 4 negative 2 times, and 2 goes into 20 10 times. All right, so that's that piece. And then I didn't factor out any variables, but I'm still going to have this 2, and then don't forget our other piece. There's r squared out there. And since I didn't factor out any more variables, I'm still going to have my r to the 6th, my r squared, and then just my r right there. Now here's what you're going to have to do. Oops, I forgot my little plus sign right there. Plus, there you go. Now these two pieces right here, what you're going to need to do with those two parts on the outside, you're going to have to multiply the two 2's together. So this 2 times this 2 gives you 4 altogether, and then you're going to have your r squared and then the rest of it. So if you didn't get the factor out of 4 to begin with, that's okay, but then you're going to have to just double check to make sure that you do factor out everything, and a plus and a 3 and then minus 2, and then oops, I forgot my plus there, and a plus right here. So your final answer, when you're all done, you'll still get 4r squared times the quantity, 5r to the 6th plus 3r squared minus 2r plus 10. So either way you slice it or dice it, you'll get there. Just take your time and double check your work. All right, thanks for watching. By now, you guys should be able to factor polynomials that have one variable in it with the GCF. All right, thanks for watching, and you guys have a great day. Peace out.